Hi, I'm Gabriel Carrillo from the EdTech Bites podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network. Just like the show you're listening to now, shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of My EdTech Life. Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Wednesday. Hopefully anywhere in the world that you may be tuning in from, today was a great day for you. And if you're able to join us here today, thank you so much. As always, I am very appreciative of all of your support. Thank you so much for making our show what it is, because what we do it for you. So thank you so much. And today, I am excited because today I have an amazing and wonderful, and I don't think the dictionary has enough adjectives for me to describe my guest, Steph Rothstein, who has been just an amazing person, an amazing friend. And I'm just so excited that I finally have her on the show. Steph, how are you doing today?
I'm doing so great. You know, when I was watching your opening, I thought I should have worn my sweatshirt. I have a My EdTech Life sweatshirt that I love and I rock on my walk reads. But I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing excellent because I got a shower. I told you today this is a break. So my kids are in school. My 3 children are in school this week, but my school is off this week. So it's the first time you're getting, as my mom would call it, summer Steph, or I guess spring break Steph. So I'm like breathing easier today. I don't have a place to be. You know, it's that lovely time. Yeah.
Love it. And I'm excited to be back too. I mean, I know I took a two week break, and now for like the month of April, we are jam-packed with great shows, and I'm just excited. I'm feeling pumped and just energetic. And of course, what a great way to start the month of April with, you know, just yourself. We had Samantha Schaffner here on Saturday. We've got some great guests lined up that we talked about backstage, but I won't give too much info out just so we can keep it a surprise as the weeks go by. But
I can't wait to be listening to all the people you have coming up. They're going to be awesome.
Yeah, and look, so we've got Sayla here, and Sayla, thank you so much for joining us. She says, "Hello, Fonz and Steph, excited to join you tonight." She says, "Usually I listen to the replay in the car, but I wanted to hop on and support Steph."
So sweet. Oh my gosh.
Look at all these kind people. And of course, guys, if you don't know yet, the youngest certified Google trainer in the world, not in the world, is here joining us at this very moment. And of course, we have one of the most epic educators from Colombia. We've got Mel A, who's joining us here as well. So I'm really excited for you guys and all of you guys that are joining us. Of course, we are right now on Facebook. We're on Twitter, Twitch. We are, everywhere except LinkedIn. Haven't gotten accepted there yet, but we're working on that. But anyway, again, it's great to be back and to have you here, Steph, and just so we can go ahead and talk and catch up with just so many wonderful things that, are happening. And, let's go ahead and get started a little bit. So, Steph, just in case for any of our listeners and our viewers that are watching or, going to catch the replay or listen, let us know a little bit more about you and your context in education.
I am happy to. So if you don't know me, hi, I am Stephanie Rothstein. I go by Steph. Hi to everybody out there. It's wonderful to see you. My background in education, this is my 18th year in education. I am currently serving as a TOSA, a teacher on special assignment in my school district, focused on educational technology and supporting that within great pedagogical practices in the classroom. And in my district, that basically means you can be doing anything and everything. I also chair the design-based thinking pathway that's at the school. And then outside of that, I do a lot of other things within the educational world that I'm pretty proud of and excited about. So I've been doing a lot more writing, been writing a lot of articles for Edutopia and some other places. And I do a lot of speaking and presenting. And that has all come about in the last, I would say, two-ish years after becoming a Google certified innovator and trainer and coach. and giving a TEDx talk. Those things have kind of sparked me sharing a bit more in the world. My big projects for this year, I'm one of the founders of Global GEG, and hi to fellow founders in the chat. And in addition, I launched my own LLC called Can We Talk EDU, and that I do consulting and helping all around anything within education. But in addition to that, specifically focused on how understanding personality and learning styles can help with communication and connection with students and with educators in the classroom.
Oh my goodness. Steph, is there
I need to get a shorter bio. I don't know how to do
I don't know. I need to get like a big hat rack and send it to you because of all the hats that you wear. And so that's amazing, my friend. And I am so happy for you because you mentioned Innovator, and, this year, was something different for, of course, our Innovator Academy. But I just wanted to say this, and I did tell you that I was going to talk you up because you are one of the very first innovators that I got to interview when I was going through my innovator process. And the feedback that you gave me, the attention that you gave me, and all the help and the support were just truly, truly amazing. And just to be able to get to know you and connect with you, and then see all of your projects that you've been doing, everything from even like myself finding out that I'm half blue, half orange, really explains a lot through your Can We Talk, quiz and talks and presentations that you've done. So I'm just extremely happy and honored and thankful to have been able to make this connection with you and have you be part of my PLF, my personal learning family. So I'm really excited.
Well, I feel super lucky. I feel lucky to have been part of it and continue to be part of it, honestly, because the truth is, like, every connection, that connection with you, it's so powerful for me to be able to watch and cheer you on with all the great things that you're doing. And I would say, like, seeing everybody in the chat, like, those are the pieces, my goodness, it like brings me so much joy. But I would say, like, I continue to shout over and over, like, my how might we statement for me is how might we make education more collaborative and less competitive. And so for me, that is really my goal. Like, that is what I have realized is my true goal, my journey, my mission. That's what I hope to do, because we need greatness everywhere, goodness everywhere, and we all deserve to help students and help them the best that we can, and to ensure that we're doing the best job that we can do. Like, there's no need to have a competition about that. We should all be helping one another get better, just like we're doing for our students. So that has become my goal. In all the things that I do. Yeah.
I love it. Collaboration, not competition. I love it. And a big shout out to Abbott also, who's joining us from the UK, and Omar Lopez. Thank you so much for joining me. My neighbor, Omar Lopez. It's always great to have all of you here joining us and just connecting with us and just, hanging out with us. And like I said, today we've got just a great talk. And of course, there really wasn't much of a title to the show because I didn't really know what to title it, because there's so many things that we can talk about that, you have just great experience with. So really today, Steph, is I really wanted to have people really get to know you and get to know and get a feel for what I learned from you, and have them get that experience too as well. So again, just today is just going to be a kind of like, who is Steph Rothstein? And
okay, here we go.
Yeah, here we go. So let's go ahead and get started with our first question. And this time I actually even prepared questions. So here's our first question for today, my friend. What is one thing that you wish you knew when you started your career pathway?
It's so funny. When you sent me this one, I really thought about it because there were so many things that I would want to say. And it is interesting that you have this question because it'll come up later, but I am writing a chapter that is coming out in a book that we could talk about later. But basically, this is the topic of that chapter. So the topic of the chapter is like, what would you tell to your first year teacher self? Like, what advice would you give? So in terms of what is the one thing that I wish that I knew when I started my career, I actually wish that I knew that that each thing on that journey was going to be teaching me something. And so I think I was a person where I went into education really not knowing that this was going to be my path. I don't know that any of us know kind of, if you know your direction, then better for you. But I didn't know that I would end up here 18 years later, to be honest with you. So I went in, I didn't know I wanted to be a teacher either. I went into education. I came to it after realizing like everything that I did just kept bringing me back to education. So when I went to college, I didn't know. I graduated going, I don't know what I want to do. Like, should I be working in a nonprofit job? Like, I had no idea. And it was the first time in my life that I kind of was like, I don't know where to go. And then I volunteered at a school. I loved it. And after that, like, game over. So I kind of wish that I had given myself some grace in going, it would be great if you observed a variety of jobs at a school, like, and things that happen early on, because I went into English thinking like, I figured out, all right, I'm going to go English subject matter. I knew I liked high school and I volunteered in a variety of spaces and I thought it would give me like the widest flexibility. I don't know. I just made that up in my own, like, I don't know. I loved math in school. My dad was like, why didn't you do math? I don't know. I just picked something. And I picked a thing that I thought would allow me to talk with students and have more conversations. It also brought about a lot of grading and grading of papers. But I wish that I would have known that it would be okay to explore a variety of pieces within education. So for 14 or 15 years of my 18 years, I also taught the yearbook class. And I would say that that is a job that taught me so much about publication, taught me about journalistic writing, taught me about photography and art, the connection between all of those. It taught me how to tell a story, and it taught me how to be a coach of students. And I think I learned even more there, and the things that I wanted to shift in my own classroom. So that's a long-winded way of saying, I think I wish I would have thought about ways that I can take all the things that I'm learning from extracurricular things that you're supporting as an educator, along with what you're doing in the classroom, to like weave in the best ofs from everywhere, and to not feel like you have to stay in one lane, because education is so vast. So I wish I would have like jumped into educational technology earlier and felt like I could. I just didn't know that that was a thing to even do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I love what you say, take the best ofs and just get that experience and hop on into trying different things. And I think that is some really sound advice. And I mean, and it's great to even hear, like you said, graduating from college and you still weren't sure what it is that you wanted to do. And I always tell the story as like, I knew I didn't want to be a teacher, but then I fell into education and I immediately fell in love and thought like, why was I even thinking about not going to education? Because when I got my first job, I was like, whoa, like this is amazing. I love this. And it was very transformative for me in the fact that I just, my passion for education grew. And now here we are today, and it's just been great to make those connections and, hopping in and trying new experiences and so on. So that is some really, really great advice. So thank you for sharing that in that aspect. So let's go on and see now, with your experience and everything that you've been able to do. I wanted to add that I think with the experiences that you've had, and I was communicating this with you backstage. It's like the way that you're able to present yourself and present your subject matter, or when I've seen you do your presentations, it just really puts me at ease, and it just really helps me understand things a lot better that I really didn't understand. So like I mentioned earlier, I really do praise you on your way of taking maybe a concept for me, since I didn't go through a traditional school of education, but you explained it in such a way that I'm like, oh, I get it. I understand that now, because up until now, it was kind of like see and learn and kind of from other people. And then, of course, you look for people, online and so on that you can learn from. But, in your article publications and like I said, your presentations, I'm just like, whoa, like this totally makes sense. Like, I get it. So definitely, your experience has definitely paid off in great aspects there. So I'm really excited about that. So now with all of those experiences, I know that not everything has always been, just a walk along the beach, just, sipping on your nice cold drink and beverage. We do know that there are sometimes obstacles that come in our way, things that happen. So I just wanted to ask you, through your experience, what, if you don't mind sharing, what have been maybe some of your biggest failures, and what are some of the things that you may have learned from them?
Yeah, I love the question. And by the way, I do sleep, by the way. But if I get really excited about things, I stay going with them. I'm seeing some of the comments in the chat. But I would say in terms of failures, I am someone that I really do embrace really trying to look at things through a design thinking perspective and a growth mindset perspective. So even thinking about like the word failure in some of the books that I've recently read, right? Like some people like to rephrase it. I really do look at them as opportunities for growth. Like I honestly do. It doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean it, but I think about, okay, how is this going to change me? How is it going to shift me? What am I going to learn from this? And I would say one that actually sparked a huge shift for me was when I applied for the TOSA position in my school district and I didn't get it. So I'm in a really small school district, 2 high schools, and we have 1 TOSA position. And I had been on the interviewing committee for this position probably for like the previous 3 or 4 TOSAs. Like I was always asked for, yes, Simon Sinek's book. I agree. That's where this is coming from. So when I applied for that position, I didn't get it. And then I found out who got it. I congratulated him on it. And I remember being like it affected me a great deal. A day after I got the rejection, my principal called me and said, it wasn't a thing that basically she gave me a whole long list of reasons why that she could share that I can't share on air. But then said she advocated for opening a second position so that I could work, since our school of the 2 schools is the bigger school, I could be concentrated on my campus and give a little bit more of a focus to our campus that has about double the amount of teachers at the other school. And she asked me if I would be okay with that. And for that first year, it would just be, I would have my regular schedule, but they would reduce it by 1 class and I would have 1 TOSA position. And the reason why I think that this shifted me was I really thought deeply about that. I said to her, look, like I want to prove myself during the course of this year if you're going to say yes to this. And if I do, can I meet, like my boss would be our associate superintendent. So can I meet with her and advocate for building out this position? Like if I do well this year, can it grow? And if your answer is yes, there's a possibility that it can grow to bigger. And so like putting your time for it becoming something more, then I will accept it. If it's not, then maybe this isn't the right path for me. And they said they were open to that, and that they just basically needed some data to show that it would be a useful thing at our school. And that pushing for myself and advocating for myself, that journey actually led me to then when I was a TOSA, I then had a boss who said, I think you should apply for Innovator. Like each step went to the next one, right? And I don't know that I would have had the guts to try to do some of the things that I've done if I didn't get pushed into a position where I had to, fight for myself a little bit, because I'm not a person that's used to like speaking up or putting forth my resume or putting credentials out there for things. That just isn't my way in this world. But I'm learning that I need to do that more if I want to actually, like, you've got to be your own champion, So I learned how to do that from that moment. And then, man, I worked my butt off that year to go like, look what I can do in 1 period. Now give me 3, now give me 4. And now this year I'm full-time TOSA. So, so it didn't just like happen. Yeah.
But that's wonderful. I mean, like you said, it's just like, and you stated it nice and clearly. A lot of times our failures, they're going to hurt. it's something that you're working for, something that you're striving to get to a position or something. And when you don't get there, or maybe you may fall just short, it does hurt. And it could really, really affect you psychologically to where you may say, or you may think, and then of course imposter syndrome kicks in and you're like, well, I would have never been really good anyway, or it's not for me. And you try and really talk yourself down. And instead of having that growth mindset and just saying, okay, well, let me see what I can do better. Let me see what I can do to improve, because next time there may be another position, there may be another opportunity. So always be at the ready. And so I think that is something that is great in understanding that, yeah, that failure is going to come, but look at how it helped you grow. And then, like you said, every step of the way, now it's like you've got 1 period, 2 periods, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey, have you heard of Google Innovator? Like, I think maybe you can go for that and see what happens there. And look at this now. I mean, it's just amazing. So what an amazing journey there. Oh man, that is wonderful. So now going back to, and I think you might have hit a little bit on some of the things that are coming up on the next question, but this could be a discussion that we can stay on for a good while. But what would be some of the advice that you would share with somebody that might be wanting to pursue a similar path, maybe not necessarily maybe a TOSA, but maybe like either something that's relatable to Innovator or anything that you may be working on. What is some of the best advice that you have to share?
Well, as I mentioned, I have too many roles, which is actually what I've come to learn. And I think it's just a part of my nature. Oh, I love you, Bonnie. It's honestly just a part of my nature. Like, I've been working full time since I was 14. So I have always been doing many things, right? Like, when people talk, that's just been me. So I've always had a job and been in school, or I've had multiple jobs, or I've had my kids and been doing my job and a different, right? So this idea of going, maybe I need to take a breath and figure out which one is my focus, but it's hard because I like it all. Like, I really do. I learn from each thing that I'm in, and it helps to influence the next piece. So in terms of my my advice, it really depends on the next part of the journey that you're seeking. I don't know that my path has been a linear one. I recently got my admin credential last year, so I'm looking towards movement into educational leadership. And I would say also, in terms of all of those pieces related to Innovator, for me, all of those are in that same vein. It's all around educational leadership. And I think everybody, I keep hearing that when I'm listening to other people who are amazing, that everybody is an educational leader. I also think, in addition to that, no matter what your position is, in addition to that, there are those where we need to carve out some space to really think about what it means to be making educational leadership decisions and impacts in a district and in a school and in a classroom. And so for me, that's kind of where my direction is leading, is now going, okay, I've spent my time working in the classroom level, working in the pathway level, working on things around the world, working in a district level. I would like to be doing kind of big picture visionary pieces. And I think the things that help you to get there, honestly, for me anyway, are doing all the steps that lead you there. I often see people coming in and going, I just want to jump. And maybe that's possible for some people. But for me, if I'm going to walk into a space and be an admin position, I want to have done all the other stuff so that there's credit to my voice when I walk into that space. And when I share as a mentor or as a coach with someone, that I have enough experience. That is me. For me, I continue to question, is 18 years enough before I move? Because I'm at a school where people are really seasoned. And so I think in many ways I'm jaded about that many people make that move much earlier. But for me, I wanted to have something in my own backing to go, okay, I have enough experience where I can walk into a space and I can provide support and advice when asked for. So that really that's the advice, is that I would say, try to make sure that you have walked in your own shoes long enough and walked in other areas or footings in a space to get a true big picture sense of all that needs to go into it. In terms of Innovator, I think it's about understanding a school, a classroom, like a big picture enough that you then start to see where are the gaps. And like, where are the gaps for me personally, but also where is it not just for me? Where is it something that would impact more than just me? Because like when you're doing design thinking, it's a how might we statement. So it's about something bigger than just yourself. And I would say that's the piece that for lots of things around pursuing a path in education, I've got to think about it bigger than myself because I'm advocating for staff, for students, for an entire district, right? So how do you do that for Innovator? How do you do that in educational leadership? All of those things I think go hand in hand.
Oh, yeah, that is definitely a great answer. Like you said, I mean, you really touched on a lot of wonderful points. And I think also just that you mentioned experience a lot, experience. And I mean, for some people, I mean, maybe they might have hopped, and they may not have that experience, but that in itself is an experience where you're going to have to kind of learn as you go and learn the ropes and kind of make your way through there. And obviously, hopefully you've got that collaborative aspect, not that competitive aspect in your workplace because in the end, it always comes down to the bigger picture, like you said, and I love the way you explained it. You're advocating not only for, people in your admin position, you're advocating for teachers, you're advocating for students, and even, the parents as stakeholders as well, because everything will affect everybody, from the top all the way down. So that is just great. And I want to give a shout out to Gerardo, who's just joining us too. Gerardo from Campeche, Mexico. And of course, the wonderful and awesome Bonnie. Bonnie is joining us here as well. And, Bonnie, when you get Bonnie and Steph together, it is like,
she's my better half for sure.
Yes. Like one of these days, we're going to have both of you on, but I need to have you guys first, one on each show. That way people can get to know you. And then we can really have that party.
Yeah. Show. Well, I'm excited to hear when you have Bonnie on for sure, because yeah. Because that will be a joyous, fun, and I'll get to learn lots. So she's amazing.
And Bonnie puts a great comment here. It says, "Teachers respect street cred." All right, so that's just having that experience. And so, yeah, I agree with you to some extent. Teachers, they want to make sure that they hear from somebody also who has walked in their shoes and mainly is relatable. But it all starts with relationships too as well. And that's something that's very important. And I know for a fact you are definitely a wonderful, wonderful person in building relationships and building connections because of the heart that you have to help others. Because again, even by helping us, even if it's one-on-one, another fellow educator or a colleague or somebody on Twitter that you may be helping, in that way, you're still advocating for whomever comes across, that person, that what you tell them will have a positive effect on them. So that's something that is great there. So I'm really, just the impact that you have, Steph, I just want to let you know is a great one. And I'm thankful for what you do for our educator community.
Thank you so much.
Now, along the way, obviously, I mean, you have to work hard. And I know Bonnie mentioned here in the chat, I know you really don't mention really how much you really work to do what you do and to find that balance in wearing so many hats. But what have been some of the best resources that have helped you along the way, starting from your teaching career and now as, a business owner with your LLC, with the Can We Talk, and of course, with your current roles that you have in Global GEG, your current roles in your district, and in every other hat that you wear.
Okay, so in terms of resources, honestly, like the best ones are people, for sure. As you mentioned, like growing that PLF, the people who can be around you, support you, be your cheering section. I talked about that in my TEDx talk, that none of those leaps can happen without having those people in your corner, cheering you on. In addition, honestly, I would say my best resources for me have been taking that time and space to really be reading more. and then I'll talk about some other like applicable resources. But for me, understanding the voices that are out there within education, I won't list them all, but I have read everything on this, like, but this side, I have another bookshelf over here, but that's been my last, like, I've been putting things there that I've read in the last 2 months. So like these 2 shelves, like that's like what I love. I love doing that though. Because I think it helps me to understand somebody else's perspective in a really deep way. Like versus just having a quote, like I really want to understand what that's about. And so for me, that it gives me insight about them, their perspective, why they think that way, how they apply it to their classroom. I was reading, I will list a resource. I was reading, where did I put it now? Now I can't find it. Where did I put it? I was reading Tech with Heart the other day, and I loved that, and it was really interesting because it's from a math perspective, but there was so much from it, I should say, and there was so much from it that helped me think about how I want to support math teachers, because I work with every person, no matter what their subject matter at my school. And so those are pieces that for me, I try to find resources that are outside of my subject matter that really help to widen my perspective, so that when I am doing some coaching, that I have a breadth that I can refer to. In addition, the best resources of people, I like to go and observe teachers all the time. It's my favorite thing. So if I can be in a classroom, that helps me more than anything else. I'm seeing like current things that are happening in a room, and I can go, oh, you should go see what he's doing over there. And then the other piece that I would say, obviously some ed tech tools have changed my life for sure. I've written about them. There were like certain ones that I wrote about. Oh, I'm so glad. There are certain ones that I've written about that have really impacted me and my classroom and shifted the way that I work, that I help with staff too. And specifically in this last year, those resources have been Pear Deck for sure, Flipgrid for sure, and Canva. Those have been my love of everything on those, along with slides and everything else. So I would say embracing, like, the resources have really been about embracing an innovative style, but not doing it in a way that is overwhelming for myself, for my students, for the staff that I work with. And so just taking all those things in, but learning from the experiences of the amazing people that I'm surrounded by.
And I think that's great, the way that you describe this. I mean, oftentimes, people may not know how either people are preparing, or teachers may be preparing, or other admins may be preparing, or people that are in your position as teachers on special assignment, right, Tosa? Yeah, and preparing, and, the work that goes in outside of work hours, or even on that little, lunch break, the reading, the research, and the sharing and all that. And like you said, just taking that extra time for yourself to see things in a different perspective. I think that really helps you in your position, or in anybody, in any position, by reading what is out there and being informed, and also helping maybe pivot certain practices that, if this is the way we've always been doing it, well, how about we try this a different way? And so now you're able to work with that. But I love that you use also your teachers as a resource, and going in there, seeing the great things that they're doing, and sharing and say, hey, let's look at what Mr. is doing here, or Mrs. is doing here, and check out what they're doing, and showcasing them too as well, because they can be some of your biggest resources that you have already on site. So that's definitely a great way to look at it. And like you said, taking that personal time. And but I also loved one thing you said, looking at things in a very innovative way, using the tech tools, but not making it overwhelming. And I think that's very important. I think right now a lot of people are fatigued, a lot of, with being on Zoom, being online. So just being very cautious as far as how much you put out there, to not cause an overload there for teachers. So for sure. Now, let's talk about some of your biggest influences? I'd like to get to know this a little bit more. So who have been maybe the 3 most influential people that have influenced you in some way to get where you're at today? So let us know a little bit about that.
Sure. Okay. Oh my gosh, I could list so many people, so many. But if I was going to go back in terms of childhood, I would say in 6th grade, my teacher, Doug Yons, Mr. Yons, it was weird that I just said his first name, but that way if somebody wanted to look him up, because he is on social media. So Mr. Yons, even though he gets mad, he's still, I'm 40 now, I still call him Mr. Yons, and he tells me to call him Doug, but I can't. So he was one of those, he was an amazing, amazing educator. He is now like officially retired, but he teaches all of his grandchildren now, and has them all in a school. And man, if my kids were his grandchildren, they would be in his school. Like, he was amazing. So he just was a person where he instilled like such an inspiration about what school could do for me. So growing up, my dad went to college when I was in elementary school time. He went back to school and he was working on stuff, and my mom was helping him. So in terms of like understanding the pathway to school, my family, like, they knew their own journey, but they didn't necessarily know how to help me on that. And so having a person where, like, in 6th grade, he was like helping me to understand what could be after my high school path. And he was just so inspiring. He was a magical educator. He just, like, you were in his space and you never wanted to leave. It was like one of those beautiful places. I still remember doing leg lifts. He went to UCLA and he would make us do leg lifts, and we would have to shout UCLA. Like, I still remember doing that and tease him about it. But he stays connected to all of his students. Like, he taught for, 45 or more years, and he still keeps in contact with everyone. And I'm so impressed by him as a person. He won, Teacher of the Year, I don't know how many times. Like, he's just an amazing individual. So major shout out to him. In terms of where I currently am in my job, I have 2 people there, and then I have 1 more after. So I'm doing 4. But I have 2 women that I really value in my school district right now. Carrie Bosco and Julie Grenier. Both of them are like, one is the head of ed tech. And so she's one of my immediate supervisors, and then Carrie Bosco is the associate superintendent. And so I go to both of them for any of my things. We're in the same committees, like for a decision making. And thanks for changing that. And Carrie Bosco was the person who told me that I should go get my admin credential. So she was that person that sat down and said, like, she was that one who introduced me to the term shoulder tap when we talked about that. And then I talked to her about it, and she basically talked to me a lot about how she thinks it's really important to seek out and support other women in our district who are wanting to do that. And then Julie, my ed tech director, basically said the same thing. So they've been really wonderful advocates about moving in and what it means to be like a woman pursuing admin. At least in my district, a lot of the higher positions are not women. And then when you look at things statistically, right, like, we are the majority of educators, but in terms of admin roles, it's fewer. So having a support system, I think, is super important. And they've been wonderful in that pursuit and in giving me a really great foundation. Everything that they've given me for jobs, even when it's hard this year, they keep saying things like, well, if you want to be an admin, this is going to help you. And then they'll like give me a task to do as a TOSA. And I find it really inspiring. And then the last was my recent one. George Koros has become a really recent, wonderful, influential person for me when he interviewed me on his podcast, which I didn't know that would happen in my life. But after, he basically was like, you should be doing writing. So it's shifted me a lot. Just a couple hour conversation with a person. And then that's led to more things coming with him. I have a chapter coming out in a book with other educators that is his book. So those pieces, I would say, were never things that I knew were going to be coming. But as you have people in your corner that that cheering section, it makes things that seemed unattainable feel possible. And all of a sudden I was like, oh, you mean like I'm reading all these things and now perhaps maybe one day I could be one of them? That wasn't on my list 2 years ago or a year ago, really. So it's just exciting to have someone that sparks something in you and makes you go, I didn't know I wanted that, and now I do. So I appreciate that very
And
much.
that is awesome when you find those people that really do inspire you. And like you said, even going back to like your teacher, and of course, currently the admins that you work with, and of course, George, to be able to give you a comment like that. And I mean, one of the very first things when even we hopped on, even on backstage, I was like, all right, when is your book coming out? Because I had seen you post so much about reading, or I mean, that you were reading all these books and so on. I was like, something's up. I know she definitely has a book in her. So I'm really excited that you have that chapter, in this book with all these wonderful educators. And then of course, it's something that you're definitely terrific at. I mean, your Edutopia articles are just great, so kudos to you for what you're doing there. And of course, you're helping your educator community, but also you're pouring your heart out in these things, because I mean, it's not just like, oh, I'm just writing to write, but you're writing it because you're living it. You're writing it because of your experience and because you truly, sincerely want to help others, better themselves, or if it's something that can help inspire them or put them at ease, you definitely do that. So
thank you so much. Yes, Mel, that was my goal. 2 things a month to publish. Yes.
Yeah.
And then this was actually my first time saying out loud the book thing. I double checked. Like George posted something about it on social media, and I wrote, are we allowed to talk about this? And then he said, yes, we are. So, so I think it's supposed to come out in August, but I don't quite know when or a date. But there are 15 educators that were asked to each write a chapter, and the 3 sections. If you've been listening to his podcast, he does these 3 questions, and the 3 questions are basically what are going to be the sections of the book. So the first section is who is an educator who has inspired you and why. And then the second one is who is an administrator who has inspired you and why. And then the third section is what advice would you give to your first year teacher self? And I wrote in the third section. And so my chapter is on what I would have advised myself. And that process of writing, that was actually really, I don't know, it was really cathartic. I enjoyed it. So those are things like I loved it. I'm grateful for all of it, but never thought any of these things would be happening. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. And like you said, all that hard work, people notice, and, it's just amazing what you're doing. So in going with that, I threw this question out, it says, what is a common myth about and you can do either professional or personal setting, whichever you like, or both. What is one common myth about your professional or personal life that you want to debunk? Obviously, you sleep, so we can really get rid of that. We can debunk
that one. I do sleep. I love it. My husband sells mattresses, so if I didn't sleep, like it wouldn't work out well. Like he sells bedroom furniture. I have to sleep. Like we have a nice bed, and I gotta sleep. So yeah, I can debunk that myth. But in terms of, I would just say that everything just kind of like that things happen so quickly. It has been that this has been a year of real speed. Like I do feel like things are starting to take shape that I never imagined, but I think it's after a whole long time of being in education and kind of waiting to put my voice out there. So I would say like debunking that things happen really quickly. I don't know if that's a good one to debunk. I don't know. I'm trying to think of another myth. I can't think of something else.
It's all right. I just
I need a lifeline. I know. I was trying to think about it. I mean, maybe something else in my own life that maybe people don't know about me I could share, maybe. I don't know if people know that I've been a type 1 diabetic since I was 6 years old. So those are pieces that I've always like balanced. I wear an insulin pump and all these other things. So I don't know that it's, let's see. The idea that you have to wait 15 years before you make a move, that's true, I guess. I don't know that I'm debunking it, though, because that's what I'm doing.
So So
yeah,
Cora's
you can make up
asking,
a myth for me, Cora.
make up a
Sure.
myth.
I'm
Yeah.
scared from you, though. I am scared. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to put it out there that I don't know if I'm going to stamp approval on the myth. But I would say like that those are pieces that whether or not people know it, I often am thinking about when I'm thinking about students and advocating for people and staff, and probably what provides me with that perspective. I think the reason why I am like, I try really, no, I don't have any pets. How's that? I mean, we got a fish, but I'm allergic to fur. So, but I would say like that I am often someone that really tries to think about like the humanistic perspective, and that obviously if relationships are at the key to everything, then it takes a lot of time to build that. So I think one myth could be that piece when I was talking about that things are not instantaneous, like it takes some of the things that I talk about, they take years and years to build, right? So, and not in a scary way, but like the book that I was that Tech with Heart book that I was recently reading, she talked in there about like the 8 years that it takes that it took her to like build up towards all of her like flipped classroom stuff. And I would say it's been a similar journey for me in the design thinking pathway that I chair, that those things are not fast, right? There are certain things that happen in that first year, second, third, like all these pieces. And so, yes, I can give you things that have worked for me, but it's after doing it over a course of time and building the relationships where then the staff, the students, the parents all then get the big picture. Yeah. Thanks, Bonnie.
Yeah. Bonnie says myth, she makes it all look easy, but it's not. And
so
yes,
kind.
Steph, you do make it look very easy. But I think one of the things that you hit on here also is just, and it happens actually through a lot of the shows that we've done, is relationships. It all starts from there. And I mean, everything good or bad can stem from there based on, how you start or initiate that relationship. So that's something that's very important to build up that trust. And a big shout out to Shannon, who's joining us also. Shannon, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And here's a free for all question for you. All right. So if you can step into my shoes, what would you have asked yourself that I didn't?
Okay. Well, I might ask about some of the projects that I'm working on, maybe.
All right.
I don't know.
So tell us a little bit more about the projects that you're working on.
I mean, I did mention some things, but yeah, I would say my biggest piece is how to shift roles. And I don't know, I've been thinking a lot about that I need to probably journal through this process or start to write or blog or do something through this process of like how you move from one step to another. Because that's really been what this last year has been, right? Like moving, shifting. I think that shift for me of stepping, like I was always somebody where I was in the classroom while coaching. And this is the first time, it's only been like a month or 2 months, I guess, maybe since January, that I've been fully out and have one job. So that role of like shifting when I let go of yearbook, and then when I like moved through being okay to let go of certain things, perhaps writing about that might be a next step. I think some of the other pieces are going to be around helping support more schools. There are schools all over the world that are doing stuff with Can We Talk? So I would love if there are more people out there that want to help or translate any of the material. Right now it's in Spanish, English, and Italian because of awesome people who've helped to translate. So if there are more languages that are sought after, I would love to support in that regard. And then just thinking about my own kind of educational leadership journey and helping me to navigate, maybe connecting with other circles, as we mentioned, doing more writing, those pieces. So I think, documenting the process, I think is going to be a new piece for me. I usually am a reflector, but I don't know at what point. So I'm going to try to reflect during and not wait. Cause I usually like think and then look at whole. I'm going to try to reflect during. It's going to be my new thing.
There you go. I love that. And yeah, that's exactly what Shannon puts here. You know, the struggles, the joys, and the resilience. That's definitely a lot of things that, you know, are very important. And I think a lot of people just being relatable to people, they get to see themselves in your shoes, or say, you know, feel like, hey, it's not just me, it's other people, or be like, what? Like, really? I mean, but she's on Twitter and she's got this, and but this is happening. So yeah, I mean, we're all human. And I think that documenting that is definitely something that's great. So
yes,
and
a fake award show. Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, I think one of the things I kept, and then with Shannon's about like vlogging potentially, I think some of the things that I was noticing about leaders that I really admire, that I've been learning a lot from, whether it be in their books or meeting with them, are how great they are at communication and how open they are in terms of communication. And so I think it means that like I'm watching them put things out, whether it be a daily basis, a weekly basis. And as I move towards educational leadership, those are things that I want to learn about doing, whether it be specific to my school, my district, or wider community, is how to do those things more regularly, because I don't necessarily do it on a regular basis.
Yeah. Well, Steph, let us know. I know I've been putting in your Twitter handle where people can find you and connect with you on Twitter. Where else can they connect with you?
Yeah, Twitter is my big space, but you can for sure check out my website, which can be found at stephedtech.com. I tap my toe in. I'm now on Instagram as well, because I'm that old lady that waited. So I waited a really long time, and I'm fine with that. So Twitter is where I mostly am, but I am starting to like be in other spaces as well. And you can find me on the website. Will connect you to everything, and you can find all my previous presentations and other things and writings and other stuff. And I would honestly say what I love doing, I love being a thought partner with people. So it is my favorite thing. I love doing design thinking, and I love helping and supporting people on processes for themselves. Like, it really does provide me a great amount of joy. So that is a likely next step, if already a current practice, but doing that more, weaving that into what is my job more. It already is, but having it be something within the title as well is what I'm seeking.
Nice. So, well, yeah. Steph, thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm just so excited and so thrilled to be able to have you as a guest on our show, and just to continue to learn from you, get to know you more. And more than anything, also having our audience members get to know you a lot more and at a different level, you know, as oftentimes maybe it's just through Twitter chats that they may know you, or they may see you at a conference, but just to be here and then just to be real, be honest, and just share all your inspiring, you know, journey through, you know, education and everything that you continue to do. I wish you nothing but the best, and I am excited and looking forward to all the wonderful projects that you will be releasing and sharing with the education community, because you are definitely a thought leader. You are one of my favorite edu leaders to follow, and you are very inspiring. And of course, I'll never forget our Innovator experience, and that right there, talking about, you know, talk about a relationship being built almost instantaneously from that first interview till now. And, you know, it's just so thrilling to be able to share this moment with you. One of my passion projects, which is this, you know, my EdTech life, and you also being part of it as well. So it's kind of like things have come full circle in that sense. So thank you so much for being here today, Steph.
Well, you're amazing, Fonz. I love that you call this a passion project, because I think it's like, it feels bigger than that. I mean, it's pretty awesome. You're moving mountains here. And I'm so impressed by you. So, yeah, I'm very impressed. And thanks, Shannon. Yeah. I really am. I'm grateful for all the relationships I've been able to build with people. And I think that's a piece like that this year, being more like thoughtful and introspective about kind of my own growth and my own journey, and having some moments of solitude to do that. I don't know that I ever usually take those. So doing that has helped me a whole lot this last year. And it's helped me really to be appreciative of the people that I really do value. So I appreciate you so much, Fonz. You're wonderful. You're a joy, and you are a true supporter and advocate for everybody in education. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Abid, Shannon, Bonnie, Dr. Corbet. Thank you so much for joining us. Also from the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. Thank you so much. Mel, thank you. Abid, Sayla, Omar, everybody that joined us here today. Also, guys, please don't forget, I'd love to hear from you. I mean, I want to know what it is that we're doing. If we're doing something right, what can we can improve? So definitely appreciate if you would go ahead and give us some feedback. We'd love to hear from you. So if you go to our website at myedtech.life, and you can either contact us, maybe you want just a private message just to let us know what we're doing. Maybe there's been an inspiring moment. Maybe, the show has helped you in one way or another. We'd love to hear from you. Or you can also go here where you can go ahead and rate our show and leave a review. And again, we do this out of just the passion that we have for education, the passion to connect educators, or actually just to connect everybody, educators, creators, anybody with one another in this global community. And of course, you know that My EdTech Life is all about making that connection, inspiring and learning. So thank you so much. As always, I am always grateful for all of your support and everything that we do it for you. And we're going to continue doing it for as long as we can. And thank you to, again, Steph and all our previous guests. And I'm really excited. I wonder who could be on this Saturday.
Who could be?
They might be in the chat. I think they were in the chat today, but I'm not sure somebody's going to be on this Saturday. But anyway, if you don't know yet, you'll know soon enough, because we'll definitely run that promo. But it's going to be a great show this Saturday morning, and it's going to be awesome. Now, yeah, I don't want to spoil anymore.
Fine. I'll be tuning in.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes. But
cheering this person on. How's that?
Yes, you will definitely want to be tuning in. And again, guys, thank you so much for making this part of your midweek. I hope that you guys have a wonderful evening. You take care of yourselves. And until next time, stay techie, my friends.